Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's Planning Committee meeting here at Fenland. Also to the members of the press and the public who are joining us via the live stream. Before we begin, please can I take this opportunity to remind everyone to turn their mobiles and computers to silent and ensure that when using the microphones, the red light is on and then turned off when you finish speaking. Now we go to agenda item number 1, and I'd like to ask Member Services, which is Joe this afternoon, if there are any apologies for absence. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members. Apologies received today from Councillors Persat and Benny. In attendance today as substitute members are Councillor Murphy and Councillor Rackley. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillors Rackley and Murphy, for substituting this afternoon. Thank you very much. Once again, item number 2 is to confirm and sign the minutes of the meeting of May the 13th and May the 27th, 2026. I'll do the first, obviously, May the 13th. Can I have a proposer? Councillor French. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Miffordin. Can I have a show of hands for the record? Thank you. Now we'll quickly move on to May the 27th. Can I have a proposer again, please? Councillor Miffordin's going to propose it. Who's going to second it? Councillor French. Can I have a show of hands there again? Thank you very much, members, for that. Now we go to agenda item number 3, urgent items. There are none. 4 is declarations of interest. Member Services will now go to each councillor in turn, and can you please state if you've anything to declare in relation to any agenda item this afternoon. So, Joe, you've got a couple of en-bloc ones to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Members, we have 2 en-bloc declarations this afternoon, I believe. Members, we've got Mr. Ian Gowler speaking today, and I understand that you are all known to a relative of himself, Mr. Gowler. Can I have a show of hands, please? Thank you. And we have a second en-bloc declaration that we have Councillor Scanlon speaking today on the Manor Leisure Centre application. Councillor Scanlon is known to you all. Can I have a show of hands, please? Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Can I have your declarations of interest, Councillor Connor?
I can, yes. I know Ian Gowler from his parish council duties at Doddington. Obviously, I don't socialise with him in any shape or form. And obviously, as always, keep an open mind on the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs French.
Thank you. Member of Marchtown Council, but take no part in planning. Also member of 10 Drainage Boards.
Thank you. Councillor Gershner.
Thank you. I have a few. I'm a member of Whittlesea Town Council. I attend some of their planning meetings. As a member of the public, I take no part in the planning matters. I'm a member and co-instigator of Friends of the Manor Group, which is a community group. I am not a committee member. I'm a member of Freedom Leisure Facilities. I have attended all the public consultations regarding the Manor Leisure Centre application today, and I have had face-to-face meetings with Mr. Phil Hughes, the Director of FDC. I have received no lobbying whatsoever on this application and will view with an open mind this application, and I am not predetermined. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gershner. Councillor Mafferdon.
Thank you. In addition to the group declarations, I am also a member of Wisbech Town Council, but I'm not on planning there. And I am also on one IDB, and I know Matthew Hall. Yeah, thank you.
Not too well, Councillor Miffordin, by the sound of it.
Councillor Marks.
Thank you, Joe. I'm a member of the Meaney Parish Council. I take no part in planning there. I do attend on occasion Chatteris Town Council as well, but again, take no part in planning and actually leave the room there. I'm a member of various IDBs, but apart from that, nothing else.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you. I'm a member of Chatteris Town Council, but take no part in any of the planning matters. I also know Matthew Hall, but do not do any business with him.
Thank you. Councillor Rackley.
Thank you. I'm just a Fenland District Councillor. I do have interest in the planning at Summers Court, obviously being a Fenland District Councillor and Wisbech based.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, thank you, Joe. Now we'll quickly move on to the main part of the meeting. Members should only make a proposal on a planning application when invited to do so. However, I'll be initially asking for if anyone is going to propose with the officer's recommendation. Clearly, if no proposal is forthcoming, or if that proposal fails, I'll be looking for an alternative proposal. Members are reminded respectfully that any such proposal should be accompanied by the policy planning reasons for going against officer recommendation. So, without further ado, I'll now hand over to Danielle Brooke. She's a development officer here at Fenland to present agenda item number 5, F/YR25/0707F. So, Danielle, when you're ready, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, members. This application is for the demolition of existing sheltered housing to deliver a purpose-built 49-unit retirement apartment scheme with associated access, parking and landscaped grounds at Summers Court in Wisbech. The site, as I said, is an existing sheltered housing complex on Summers Road within a predominantly residential area. It's contained previously developed site with defined boundaries, including a brick wall to the north which separates it from Eads Terrace on South Brink. The surrounding area includes nearby listed buildings and lies immediately adjacent, but not within, the conservation area. However, it still makes it a sensitive heritage context. The site contains some mature trees and open space and has established access from Summers Road, lying within flood zone 1, however it is close to the River Nene. The development is arranged with a single building positioned centrally within the site, creating a clear and contained layout. Access will be continued to take from Summers Road into a defined entrance leading to on-site car parking located to the front and side, providing 29 spaces with circulation and turning areas. Communal gardens are located to the rear, offering private amenity space for residents, while plant and service areas are positioned discreetly. Existing boundary treatments are to be maintained to maintain separation from the neighbouring properties and reinforce the site's enclosure. Overall, the layout is considered to provide a clear, legible, tangible arrangement, balancing access, parking and the built form. The scheme provides a total of 49 retirement apartments arranged over ground, first and second floors, comprising predominantly 1-bed, 2-person units with a smaller number of 2-bed units. The ground floor includes a mix of apartments alongside communal facilities, circulation space and support areas, with upper floors continuing the residential accommodation access via central court. An example of some of the proposed elevations are shown. The scheme introduces larger 2- and 3-storey buildings, and its massing is broke up through varied roof forms and a step design to reduce visual impact. In amenity terms, while there are concerns around overlooking and scale, the proposal retains the existing separation distances, has removed balconies to near neighbours, and carefully positions windows to limit direct views. Looking at the bottom elevation marked C, the red outline, which hopefully you can just about make out, shows the existing building scale in comparison with the proposed. Impacts from overshadowing and overbearing are considered limited due to the reduced height, stepped form and site orientation, particularly on this elevation where it corresponds to the existing dwellings at Eads Terrace. While some change is inevitable, the scheme is not considered to result in unacceptable harm and provides a good standard of amenity for both neighbours and future residents in line with policy. This is a photograph and artist's impression that was submitted with the application in respect of the view from Summers Court entrance. And here are some photos of the existing site. Photo 1 shows the existing main entrance off Summers Road. Photo 2 shows the eastern boundary with South Brink Hall, which is Grade 2 listed, to the north. Photo 3 is facing south towards the boundary wall with the dwellings on Summers Road shown in the distance beyond. And photo 4 is the northern boundary wall that is set between Eads Terrace and beyond the site. So in conclusion, the application seeks full planning permission for the demolition of existing sheltered housing and the redevelopment of 49 retirement living apartments. The site is located within the built-up area of Wisbeach, where growth is supported under policies LP3 and LP5, and therefore the principal development is acceptable. The scheme seeks to provide 100% affordable housing, which is all social rent, via a legal agreement exceeding policy LP5 requirements, and carries substantial weight in favour of the scheme. Pre-application advice and initial consultation responses raised concerns regarding scale, design and heritage impact and amenity, and the original scheme was considered overly dominant and harmful. However, the proposal has been significantly amended through the application process, reducing height in sensitive areas, removing balconies near boundaries and improving massing and layout to address earlier concerns. Technical matters including flood risk, drainage, highways, ecology and trees are considered acceptable, with no objections from statutory consultees subject to conditions. It is acknowledged that the revised development will result in some harm, including a notable increase in scale and prominence, but less than substantial harm to heritage assets and limited impacts on neighbouring amenity. Therefore, these harms are considered to be outweighed by the benefits of delivering much needed specialist retirement accommodation, making effective use of previously developed land, providing landscape and ecological enhancements, and as such, the application is recommended for approval.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Danielle. We have one speaker on this application. First, I'd like to ask Peter Smith. He's the applicant to make his presentation to the committee. You've got 5 minutes when you're ready to start, Mr. Smith. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in favour of this application. I'm Peter Smith, Delivery Development Manager at Housing 21. So I'm on the delivery side of the business. Firstly, the quality of the scheme, 49 very spacious new apartments. They are 55 square metre, one bedroom apartments and 68 square metre, two bedroom apartments. And that's a big improvement on the existing accommodation, which is predominantly bedsits. So overall, we go from 38 bedsit accommodation where the residents actually have to leave their property and go down the hallway to use the bathroom. Here, that's completely self-contained. So it's a much more modern and attractive scheme that we're proposing. In addition to those spacious apartments, each with their own balcony or patio off on the ground floor, there'll be a nice spacious residence lounge which opens out onto what will be a sun trap of a central garden that you can see there on the drawing. And we also have a manager's office that will be staffed during office hours to offer additional support for residents. And we have a buggy store and a communal WC, as well as 2 lifts to get to the upper floors. So as I said, the old scheme, we looked at that and decided it wasn't really fit for the modern age. So about the need for the scheme, we've had discussions with housing officers from Fenland Council, Dan Horn, and so I'll get my name right, Tom Walzak, and discussed the need for this type of accommodation in Wisbeach, and we've been assured that there is plenty of need indeed. Wisbeach has been identified as a hotspot. Of course, we've got a growing older population. That's exactly what we're building for here. It's a sustainable location, a short walk from the centre of Wisbeach, so residents will be able to live there without needing to have a car. We actually have low car ownership amongst particularly our residents of this tenure group, so we expect there'll be ample parking available here. But people will it will give an economic boost to the centre of Wisbeach because people will use the shops, and we'll have more residents in the future scheme than we had in the old scheme, as well as during the construction itself. Of course, that will also bring economic benefits to the town in the form of construction work and spending, etc. Housing 21 does know the local area quite well, particularly my operational colleagues. I'm from further afield, but my operational colleagues, we have Leggy Burke Court, which is although just literally a stone's throw across the borough boundary in Western Norfolk, it is actually part of Wisbech on the eastern side of the town. And we also, further away in Whittlesea, we have another scheme called Palmer Cloth. So we have knowledge of local knowledge. Just quickly about Housing 21. As a specialist provider of older people's housing, we don't do general needs housing. We are exclusively looking at older people's catering for older people. We have retirement living and extra care. This will be retirement living, this proposal. We have something like 25,000 properties owned and managed across England, over more than 500 locations. But one thing we do pride ourselves on is resident satisfaction. That's an absolute top priority for us. And we score, of the probably more than 1,000 housing associations in the country, we score literally within the top 5 in terms of resident satisfaction, with 92 or 93% resident satisfaction across things like safety and responsiveness to repairs. We don't have a lot of complaints because we deal with them at the early stage. So I think that's really is one of our strengths as an organisation. So just to conclude, I do hope you look favourably upon this application and the benefits that it will bring to the town of Wisbech. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, that's it. We're going to come to that. Questions at all, members? Members' questions, clarifications, please. Councillor French, then Councillor Mifferton. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I have 2 questions. First one, are there any residents still living in Summers Court?
Sorry.
Are there any residents still living in Summers Court?
3, as I understand it, there are currently 3, and we hope we've been working on decanting the residents out of the building over the past 12 months. The last 3 are still there, but we're working hard on finding places for them to go. I understand that they have all got places to go, but one of the properties requires adaptations, which is what's taking a wee while.
My next question, I see that Anglia Water are objecting to you connecting because they don't have capacity. How are you going to overcome that? Anglia Water are objecting to the application. How are you going to overcome that?
I'm not aware of their objection, so apologies for that.
It says here on section 3, Anglian Water objects to any connection into the FAIL network from the proposed development due to capacity restraints and pollution risks.
Okay, I don't have the technical information about that objection. I wasn't aware that that was an objection, but clearly we're replacing an existing scheme, so there was already a foul water There is already a foul water connection on that site.
If we go on further than that, you probably wouldn't know that surface water disposal. There's an objection there. Anglian Water objects to this application due to a lack of evidence confirming that the surface water has been fully explored before connection can be considered. So there's an objection there as well. So that's FAIL water and obviously the other as well. But if you don't know, you're not to know. But when officers will probably be a question to ask officers. Councillor French. So Councillor Mifferton, your turn. Thank you.
Thank you. If this application is approved, I've got 3 questions, by the way. When do you hope to start building?
We want to build as quickly as possible. We are currently in a procurement exercise to identify the contractor, and we hope, all going well, it will be in the spring of next year. We will demolish the building before the end of this year and start the new build in the spring of next year.
Okay. Do you have contractors set aside, and is there a way you can use local people in the demolition and the building process? I mean, local labour.
Yeah, I would imagine that we haven't yet selected the contractor. We have 5 in the running at the moment, and we will shortly move to stage 2 procurement with a chosen contractor where they will then do their detailed design work. I would imagine whichever contractor it is, they will employ local people.
So last question. So probably not your question, but then is there a way you can, probably up to officers maybe later on, prioritize Fenland residents when it comes to occupancy time?
Yes. So we will have a nominations agreement with Fenland District Council. We've spoken to the housing officers about that. We had a recent approval for a scheme, Barton Road, just also on Wisbeach, a bungalow scheme. We have a nominations agreement agreed there, and so it will be very much along the same models. There will be a cascade. Firstly, local people will be offered properties and only go out to a wider area if there's empty properties after that.
Councillor Gerstner.
Thank you. The 3 residents, which you still have there now, you've given the reason for one being a challenge. You have to get adaptable accommodation. The other 2, have they been offered accommodation, and will that be offered locally to them?
I don't have the details of that because I'm not on the operations side of our business, so I can't categorically say exactly the situation there. All I understand, I have been told that all 3 have their future homes have been found for them, but I don't know anything more than that.
You finished, Councillor Gerstner? Yep, Councillor Marks then, thank you.
Thank you. Looked on here on construction plan, number I, use of concrete crusher. Obviously, you're going to be doing demolition. I have a concern, obviously, the properties around there, a lot of them are listed buildings and vibration as well. Why are you crushing concrete on site and not just taking it away?
So I'm not quite sure where that came from because the demolition works will be contracted and it will be up to their contractor to propose how they go about it. But we haven't actually selected a contractor yet, so I'm not quite sure where that detail came from.
It's in here as okay. So moving on from that one, just the other one regarding parking. Looking at the proposed drawing there, obviously you're looking at elderly people in the building. There seems to be a long way for elderly people to walk. Also, regarding the actual car parking spaces, you've got 3 there that look to be disabled spaces, but elderly people do tend to need bigger spaces to open car doors, as I found out to my cost recently. Is that something you've actually looked at, or are you just cramming the cars in small spaces?
I think that those spaces will have been drawn noting the regulations, the council requirements for parking spaces. So our architect will have followed that, and their transport planning consultant will have followed that in designing the car parking space area.
Thank you.
Councillor Murphy, thank you.
Thank you very much. I notice on here that I don't know whether you can do it or not, but can you do you think you can realise all the 26 conditions that is put in front of you on this application? There's 26 of them. Can you realise all of them?
Yes, we've reviewed the conditions, and we will do them all. Our contractor will be asked to discharge all of those conditions.
Leaves me. So the residents that you're going to are looking to have in there, is there any age limit? Is it an over 55s or is it over 65s, or how do you see that playing out?
We usually have in our nominations agreement over 55 being the age limit, although the reality is that the majority will be over the age of 65 and retired. So we have a lot of these properties around the country with that same 55 and plus age limit, and the average age is in the 70s.
Meets that criteria. That's good. Councillor Gerson once more.
Thank you. With only 3 disabled bays there and the number of residents you've got, would you consider having more disabled spaces, considering the number of elderly people that you're having there?
We could look at doing that. Yeah, I think if it could be, I don't see a problem with increasing it from 3 to 4 to 5, perhaps. That would give maximum flexibility. Obviously, once the scheme is operational, we will see if there is a need for more. We can always increase it at that point. Housing 21's policy we apply to all of our courts across the country is that we don't allocate a specific parking space to a specific apartment, but it's first come, first serve. So if we found that there was actually not enough disabled spaces, then we could easily increase that during the operational phase of the scheme.
What I'm actually asking is before that, because you've got a very large number of elderly people there, and it's all very well, and thank you for having space for buggies and things like that, making space for that, but it's the percentage of parking spaces to the number of residents you're expecting there. So I would gratefully ask that you consider upping the number of disabled spaces in this planning stage. Thank you.
So I find it difficult to answer right now because I don't know the knock-on effect of doing that in terms of the number of parking spaces. So we'd have to carefully weigh the balance between because disabled ones are larger, aren't they? So that would mean reducing the number of parking spaces, which without seeing the impact, I wouldn't like to commit to increasing it right now.
The question was, would you consider it?
Yes.
Councillor French has indicated you want to speak first, and Councillor Marks after that.
Thank you, Chairman. You did mention in your presentation that you did some work down Barton Road. Is that the new development for the over 55s? The new development in Barton Road, was it your company that actually built that?
So that was Housing 21 will be the end provider. It will be our scheme, yes, but it was done we weren't fronting the planning application because it was brought to us by a developer, but we are in negotiations with a contractor to build that scheme out.
The one that I'm talking about is already built out, and when they started it, they damaged the water pipes, and the road was closed for nearly a year. Is that the site that you're talking about?
No. So the Barton Road one was the the nursery site, just next to. I'm trying to think what it's called now. The park next to that. Sorry. No, there's like some not mobile homes, but sort of there's an existing residential park. I'm trying to think what it's called now. So it's between Barton Road and Magazine Lane. It used to be a tree nursery.
Okay, so we'll call that it this time. Councillor Marks, your question's been answered. I think we've perhaps done this to death. The gentleman perhaps wants to sit in a different seat. Thank you very much for that, answering those questions. So, questions, members to officers, and Councillor French, no doubt, would like to ask the same question to officers. Would you?
How are we going to? I've got 2 questions now. How are we going to overcome the objections from Anglia Water? I know there's a building there, and it obviously has got connection, but I did notice that that they're quite strong on that, because Anglia Water are getting pretty tough now about new builds, etc. I mean, they're threatening not to connect anymore in Maney. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I've got a meeting with Anglia Water in a couple of weeks' time, and I've asked them myself.
If I can answer that, Chair.
Sorry, you can answer that. Well, yes, please do. Please do.
Yeah, so Anglian Water did say within their comments that if we were minded to approve the application to include a specific condition, which has been reiterated within the conditions on this application. In respect to surface water, so obviously they would be in consultation with any scheme that we got sent there, so they could comment further on any proposed foul drainage scheme. In respect of surface water, the LLFA have reviewed the application, seen the drainage strategy that's been put through, noted the Anglian Water objection in respect of surface water, and therefore there is a full and frank condition in respect of surface water drainage also. So both cases would have to be overviewed by the relevant statutory authorities before planning, could be implemented.
Yeah, it goes on to say on 11, surface management, water management, details of long-term maintenance arrangements for the surface water suds to be submitted and approved in writing before the first occupation, and also no development shall commence until a fair water strategy has been submitted and approved by the local planning authority in consultation with Anglian Water. So I think that's where we have to leave that one. But is that have we got a second question, Councillor French? No? Anybody? Yes, Councillor Marks.
Regarding the car parking, is there anything at this point we can make comment or say regarding it? Because it does concern me that we have 49 elderly bungalows, and elderly people do need to open their car doors, and the size of that with just 3 disabled parking spaces, I think, is inadequate, personally.
Through you, Chairman. Obviously, as members know, the application that we have before us is the one that members need to consider. The officer's report does deal with this matter. I don't, in relation to, the number is, it's not 1 for 1 due to the social housing nature and the age demographic is likely to have a lower number of car parking spaces. I do understand where members are coming from in relation to I would suggest, it would be the number of disabled spaces rather than the other issue around the actual traditional car parking space, because it's hard to have a policy. But we don't have specific, and on balance, we've considered that this is acceptable. But it is what it is. In theory, members could defer it if they're not happy with the car parking provision. Looking at the planning before us, I think it's unlikely that you'd be able to get a similar volume of car parking on site, and to increase the number of disabled spaces. So obviously officers would need to then revisit that if members thought that there needed to be an increase in disabled spaces, because obviously it would impact on the number of on-site provision. This point, as the officer's report does explain, in some sense it's a balanced issue. It's coming to planning judgment, but I would suggest it's not really a matter for consideration after today. I would suggest it's either acceptable or not. At worst, members could look to defer it if they had concerns and thought that the scheme needed higher, and then it could be brought back. But otherwise, it is what it is, to use that term. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, as head of planning states, we've got to look at this as it is now. We can request that, but obviously we are determining this application in front of us, and it's up to them what they take on board. But I think it's planning balance here. Do we need these homes for these 49 people more than actually looking at the car parking spaces? Because there's lots of people now moved to different accommodation, and there's 3 left. So what's happening basically is, if we don't make a decision today in the affirmative, this is going to be held up now for 3 or 4 or 5 months until this comes back again to committee, and then probably as we know, in September, October, the new regime, it changes the regime. We perhaps won't get a say in it anyway. So I think that keeps to be bear in mind.
But perfectly understand what you're saying, Chair. But even if it's wrong, it's wrong. If there isn't enough parking spaces, it just concerns me that there are a lot of people in this day and age, being disabled, whatever, like myself. You need to put the door wider open. there is minimal car parking spaces there for elderly people. When you look at that site, it's a long way to walk for a lot of them as well. So, I agree. It's a planning balance. Let's see what we're going to debate.
Yeah. Councillor French, and then did you indicate you want to speak? So Councillor French first, then Councillor Rackley, and then
Going
Councillor
by
Miffordon.
Legbert Court, I was a taxi driver for 20 years, and a lot of the work we've done predominantly at Legbert Court, the people in Legbert Court haven't got cars. So I could only speak as I've found over the years. A lot of them use taxis because they haven't cars, mobility scooters and taxis. So I'm with the driving side of things. I don't know how many people are going to have. I mean, obviously, I can see people's concerns about the car park, but from my experience, predominantly a lot of the people in there that are going to be using this facility won't have cars.
Councillor French, then Councillor Miffordon.
Thank you, Councillor Rackney. You nicked half my thunder, but never mind. I would suggest that the residents that go in there, the company, if they've got a lot of common sense, they would possibly have a lot of people without cars, which would make sense. And if they need a taxi, get a taxi.
Councillor Miffordon, you indicated that you'd like to speak.
Yes, Chair. Just in addition to what Councillor Rackley just said, if it comes to that, we could ask for more disabled spaces on what's already there, because just across the road is a huge car park, just across the road, and the distance from the top end of that car park is about the same distance as from the end of the car park to the furthest away apartment. So what I'm saying is, if the issue is the parking, then we can have more disabled. We can ask developers put more disabled parking in the actual car park there, and then if there is like an overspill, they could use the main car park. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we've gone off a bit off track here. We're supposed to be questions to officers. We've gone really into debate, really. So, goodness, how we've got there. We'll just let Matt finish, because I say we have digressed a bit. Then we'll go into debate, I think, which we've already started. But where we go, Matt?
Thank you, Chairman. Just in relation to the car parking, I think the officer's report acknowledges it. There is an acceptance that this type of accommodation will have a lower level of car parking provision. It's we as a council don't have an adopted policy on this, so it is, as the chairman was saying, a planning judgment matter. It is in a very sustainable location for this district, which obviously supports the idea that potentially you could have even lower. Officers have done a balancing exercise and considered acceptable. I don't like to prejudge, but if members did have issues, I think we probably would accept a lower level of car parking to provide a greater level of disabled. But us as professional judgment is that this is acceptable. I would suggest taking into account the round and the planning matters. But one thing I would say is and it's my fault I've missed it, is we haven't suggested a condition in relation to car parking not able to be allocated to the properties, which isn't what you would normally do when a scheme doesn't provide the level of on-site. Because obviously, if an applicant did decide to, in a future development, the applicant said this isn't their approach, but obviously we've got to look long term. If a future person did decide to take it on and for market value wanted to allocate those properties, you could end up with X amount of units with access to car parking and then a lot of units without it. So for that reason, I think we just suggest that we put on an additional condition in relation to car parking not being able to be allocated to any residents. Thank you, Chairman.
So we're still going to get questions to officers. So I think we've no more questions for officers. Now we've started the debate. Did you want to carry that on, Councillor Miffordon, or have you said your piece?
I think I've said my piece. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, that's very good too. Councillor Rackley's had his little bit to say. Anybody else who are in debate? Councillor Gerson, I think.
Thank you. I know we're dwelling on this parking, but car parking spaces over the years have got smaller. I think we all agree with that. And cars, take the Mini for example, have got much larger. And disabled people, as we've agreed, need more space to get out. And I personally don't think that 3 disabled car parking spaces are enough. The applicant has kindly said that they would consider it. But I think we need to be mindful, and I take into account there is a good car park very close by for those that are more able. But those that are not so able, I don't think 3 disabled car parking spaces on this development is enough.
So we're still in debate, remind everybody. Anybody else want to count? Marks, thank you.
It's a balance. I think we all agree it's a balance. Are we going to hold up 49 properties for what we perceive as a problem? But how big a problem is it in the bigger scheme of things? I would hope, as we've done before, when we've spoken to developers and agents when they've been here, we have made a suggestion and hope they listen to what we are saying and maybe come back and have a look at the car parking disabled spaces. There is no doubt car parking spaces are getting smaller and smaller, and I am sure they will almost be door to door as you're trying to get in and out of cars. But on the flip side, are we really going to hold up this for the car parking spaces? As much as I'd like to say I'd love to see it deferred, I think I'm still mindful to vote for this.
Yeah, I'll come in there. I'm using planning balance. I did intimate earlier that where I think I'm going to be with this. We can't realistically hold up a good scheme like this. The developer has worked with Fenland District Council officers, which is absolutely wonderful. We'd like to see that more. I'm sure we all would. The scheme is good. It ticks all the boxes, as I said. On planning balance, it could be the car parking bays could be a bit wider, but we are where we are. We've got to determine it as it is, and unless a rabbit's pulled out the hat now, I shall be going with officer's recommendation on planning balance to approve this application. Mr. Marks.
Coming away from car parking, I would just again highlight as well the car crusher, the crusher on site, which is of a concern, especially around there with the silt and stuff, with the riverbanks and everything else, and the properties that are there, and also the piling that will be undertaken, and also the dust suppression, especially on days like today. You've got businesses around there, you've got neighbouring properties and houses and stuff. And again, I hope that they will listen to that and be just taking the concrete away as opposed to trying to crush on site.
Okay. Councillor French.
Thank you, Chairman. Nobody's actually touched on the Conservation Officer's comments. I understand he's not happy, which I fully understand that. So I hope there's going to be conditions that they don't damage any of the assets nearby.
Okay, yeah. I'm just looking at the conditions. Dust mitigation, so they'll have to have a bowser there to when they that's what they'll have to do, have a bowser there to into the air to stop all the dust. Yeah, I'm a bit like Councillor Marks. I would like this the concrete crusher. I know they haven't chosen a contract yet, but can we recommend that they take the concrete away on that one, as they haven't chosen at all. They haven't chosen a contractor.
Yeah, through you, Chair. Condition 14 proposes a construction management plan which covers all the concerns members have raised. So we will have those details from the applicant as part of the discharge of conditions. So that will all be put in place.
Okay, so that gives me a little bit of comfort, doesn't you, Councillor Marks?
Right. Can I just clarify with that? When you say that will be put in place, you can specify no concrete crusher.
So the condition 14 Part I requires the applicant to provide details of use of concrete crusher. Given its demolition on site of the existing building, it may well be that the use of a concrete crusher is necessary, but in order to suppress any dust generated from that, they will supply details of how that dust will be mitigated, and there will be dust suppression systems on site.
I'm more concerned about vibration, especially along that front there. Next door, there is a vaulted ceiling, which we all have heard about before, but next door is the solicitors on the front there. That's got a vaulted ceiling in it that I know is of major interest to conservation, and the conservation officer, reading his report, looking at it, has got some fairly major worries all the way along there. I think if we said, if you're saying we can condition no concrete crusher, I'm a lot more comfortable than just, oh, well, a bit of dust suppression. Dust suppression is irrelevant really to the vibration that's there. Bearing in mind they're also going to pile as well.
So again, just to address your concerns in that same condition. So there's a number of measures that the applicant has to address in order to discharge that condition. G of condition 14 covers vibration, impact assessment methodology and so on. So we will have all that information along with all the details about dust suppression, mitigating vibration. Obviously we're aware, because of the number of listed buildings within the vicinity of the site, that there is a chance for vibration to do damage to those structures. So we will have all that information as part of the condition, and obviously if there's anything there that's unsuitable, we won't be able to discharge that particular condition. It is worded, it's a pre-commencement of development condition, so we have to have that information and have agreed all that information before they can even start on site. So all those concerns that members have will be controlled by that condition.
And I take it, I might be speaking out of turn here, but if you're that worried about it, as I am to a point, you can have a look at the conditions. I'm sure that wouldn't be a problem for your perusal, so you can give your comments as they are pre-commencement conditions. I don't know if that will give you any comfort. Yeah, okay, and I'm happy. I can liaise with you. You'd like to see the pre-commencement conditions. Councillor Ackley, would you like to see them?
My house isn't that far away from where this is being built in relativity of what we're on about and piling. My house sits on silt. It's got no footings at all, and it's over 100 years old. So zealous architects with piling and whatever they've gone on. If the ground tested and that's been the case and they don't where they need piling, then that's fine. But a lot of the time they're piling and with strip foundations would do. And as for the concrete crusher, I mean, I'm building trade for the best part of 25 years. A concrete crusher isn't on site that long, and you're recycling stuff there that's going to get used in the foundations, and it's not going to get flighted, is it? So I can understand your concerns with a concrete crusher, but then the noise from a concrete crusher for the time it's going to be on site is quite minimal, really. The piling would be my concern, because obviously the vibration from piling does affect surrounding buildings. But if that's what they've recommended and that's what they've got to have, it comes in part with. I think it's a fantastic facility for Wisbech in the middle of town for old people. The one that's there on site now is outdated. I went out and had a look yesterday, and it is outdated. And if they're going to willing to spend money and put something like that in Wisbech, I think it's only a good thing. Obviously, you got Anglian Water's concerns, and we've all got our concerns. But I think it's a fantastic thing for Wisbech.
I thought your expert knowledge would come in handy there, Councillor Ackley. I know you've been a reputed builder of repute for some years. Councillor Marks again.
Thank you. Obviously, Councillor, but we understand that. But what I am concerned about, especially with the concrete crushers do vibrate quite dramatically when they're on ground. Not worried about the noise. The noise, as you say, is incidental. It's more the vibration that will do in the surrounding area. And as I say, next door in Bowsers, I know there is this vaulted ceiling, and they soon vibrate off. I mean, you get heavy lorries and stuff going along there, you can see the vibrations, and you say it's all on silt. So that's my main concern. I think it's a brilliant scheme. I can't knock the scheme at all. I just want some very big safeguards put in place before agreeing.
Yeah, the piling would worry me. I mean, when you're banging those down like that with a big hammer like that on a sheet of metal, it does cause a kerfuffle, I can say. Anyway, we are where we are. We can go around this all day, and thank you, members, for bringing your thoughts. But I'm going to close this now. I don't think we can go any further. I think members know where they need to be, or in the process of needing to be. So I'm closing the debate. Have you got any more questions or answers at all, or input?
Chairman, all I would suggest is obviously, rather than having the recommendation being conditions agreed, just that we amend that to delegate to officers, just so we can look into that car parking one and make sure the others are all fully robust, if that's okay. Thanks.
Yeah, also, before I look for a proposal, Councillor Miffordin and Councillor Marks have indicated they'd like to look at the pre-commencement conditions, so can we just add that in? You're happy with that now? As much as you can be? Yep, okay, so that's it. So now, do I have a proposer to go with officer recommendation to approve planning permission?
That's the amended recommendation.
The amended recommendation. Councillor Miffordin, what you want to propose it? Okay. Anybody want to second it? Probably from Wisbech, or you want to second it, Councillor Rackley? I'm happy with that. So we've got a proposal to go with officer recommendation to approve it. This application. Councillor Miffordin is going to propose it. Councillor Rackley is going to second it. Can I have a show of hands on that?
It's a unanimous decision, Chairman.
Thank you very much. The application has obviously been approved. Thank you. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Danielle Brooke again to present agenda item number 6, F/YR 26-0179. It's a Fenland District Council application. So Danielle, when you're ready, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This application is a Fenland District Council application for the redevelopment of Manor Leisure Centre in the centre of Whittlesea. The application comprises the existing Manor Leisure Centre on Station Road, located at the southern edge of Whittlesea. The wider site includes a range of recreational facilities such as playing fields, cricket pitches, etc., alongside a separate wet side and dry side leisure buildings arranged around a central car park. The site is bounded by recreational land to the east and west, with mature vegetation and the Briggate River forming the southern edge, beyond which lies open agricultural land. To the north, the surrounding area is predominantly residential in character, with mature vegetation to its boundaries. Access will be taken from Station Road via an existing entrance, with an on-site parking and good pedestrian links to nearby residential areas and the town centre, which is approximately half a kilometre away. The site is also accessible by public transport and lies approximately 1 kilometre from Whittlesea railway station and is within flood zone 1. The proposal is for the comprehensive refurbishment, partial demolition and extension of Manor Leisure Centre to bring all the facilities into a single modern building. This includes retaining the existing pool tanks, removing outdated structures and constructing new wet and dry leisure facilities around them. It will deliver a refreshed community hub with a swimming pool, learner pool, gym, studio, sports hall, cafe, community spaces and improved accessibility throughout. Externally, works include upgraded parking areas, including EV charging, landscaping, enhanced pedestrian access, refurbished entrance gates, improved outdoor facilities, including new paddle courts and a relocated skate park. The existing leisure centre is currently split across 2 ageing buildings with a disconnected layout, outdated facilities and fragmented circulation. The proposal seeks to bring all uses together into a single building, organised around the retained swimming pool. It delivers significantly upgraded facilities, including a larger gym, improved sports hall, enhanced soft play area, cafe and community spaces. Overall, the scheme seeks to transform the facilities into one cohesive leisure hub, greatly improving usability, accessibility and visitor experience. The proposed elevations present a contemporary building with varied roof lines reflecting the internal uses, including higher volumes over the sports hall, pool hall and soft play areas. The design uses a mix of materials including brickwork, cladding and curtain wall glazing to create an attractive appearance, particularly around the main entrance. Large areas of glazing will provide natural light into spaces such as the pool and fitness areas, while solid elements will help to break up the overall massing. Overall, the elevations deliver a modern functional design with a clear hierarchy, responding to the building's different uses while creating a cohesive leisure facility. The proposal includes creation of 3 new covered paddle courts to the west of the site to enhance the outdoor facilities at the site currently. Each court will be enclosed by a combination of glass and mesh fencing set on hard standing surface and served by 6-metre LED flood lighting for evening use and covered by lightweight canopies for year-round play. So here are some photos of the existing leisure centre. Photo 1 is the main building, which is due to be redeveloped. Photo 2 shows the secondary leisure centre building that is due to currently be demolished. Photo 3 also shows that same building when viewed from the recreation ground. And photo 4 shows the main building and existing skate park that is due to be redeveloped and repositioned. So in conclusion, the proposal seeks the redevelopment and expansion of Majon Leisure Centre with included upgraded leisure facilities. The scheme is supported by policies LP2, LP3 and LP6 of the Fenland Local Plan and the corresponding policies within the Whittlesea Neighbourhood Plan to promote sustainable growth, healthy communities, enhance recreation and community infrastructure. The development would provide significant community wellbeing and visual benefits and an improved public realm in accordance with Policy LP16 and Policy 7 of the Whittlesea Neighbourhood Plan. Technical assessments confirm that any impacts relating to highways, drainage, flood risk, amenity, ecology and lighting can be mitigated through appropriate planning conditions. Although there will be some tree loss and increased activity on the site, these impacts are considered limited and will be mitigated through replacement planting, biodiversity net gain measures and long-term ecological enhancements. Overall, the proposal is considered to represent sustainable development in accordance with the Development Plan and NPPF, with substantial public and community benefits outweighing any limited harms. Therefore, the application is recommended for approval, subject to conditions.
Yes, thank you once again, Danielle. We have one speaker on this application. I'd now like to invite Councillor Alex Miscanlon. He's a district and a Whittlesea Town Councillor to make his presentation to the committee. You know what to do. You're an old timer like me, so you know you've got 5 minutes. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Can I have it noted I'm the portfolio holder for Parks and Open Spaces, but I have not been involved with this application.
Yeah, Joe's busily typing and making a note of that. Thank you, Councillor French. Okay, Councillor Miscanlon. Oh, hang on a moment.
Sorry, Chair. A similar declaration. I have been consulted on this previously, but I have not taken part in it at all. I've done it because I was a portfolio holder for assets. Thank you.
Joe's made a note
Sorry,
of that.
can I just check, Councillor Muffin, you said you've been consulted. What does that mean?
Well, maybe that's not the right word. I have been involved in discussions about the redevelopment. I have been on site visits and I have been walked around the site previously by a previous councillor who has now left the council. So.
Okay. That's on the borderline, so I think, Stephen, your decision needs
I would advise, Councillor, that you do not take part in this vote.
Okay, thank you. I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Councillor Miffordon, for that. It could have been. So, Councillor Miffordon's leaving. So, at last, off you go.
Thank you for allowing me to speak on this application. I'm here today to represent Whittlesea Town Council as the current Mayor and Chairman of Planning at Whittlesea Town Council. When this project was started, I was the portfolio holder and the remit was to future-proof the manor for the next 20 to 30 years, and this is what this application does. The present manor was constructed in the 70s and has done very well to survive. It is still a usable condition, and that is why this application is before you, as it is time to bring it up to date and to future-proof the manor. Yes, there's been some issues raised at meetings down the line, but these have been addressed in the proper and meaningful manner. This project is a big step forward for the future-proofing of the manor for years to come, because this facility is not only serves Whittlesea, but a larger area. The improved facilities for the Rifle Club are, in their opinion, second to none, and it will enhance their ability to attract more members to be trained and grounded for the future competitions to the highest standard. And in conclusion, I would like to ask this committee to approve this application so that officers can get a move forward and produce a facility that is for the benefit of Whittlesea residents and those who travel to Whittlesea to improve their health and well-being. Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Miscanlon. Members, questions to Councillor Miscanlon? I don't think there's too much to discuss with this one, but thank you very much and talk. Very good presentation. Very short and sweet. Thank you. Members, questions, clarifications to officers? No? Oh, you've got one. Thank goodness for that.
Not a question. I'll just say that Whittlesea are very lucky to have this opportunity and the amount of money that's going to be spent for the residents. So I'd say well done to Whittlesea and also the FDC officers who have worked hard with this. So well done.
Yeah, absolutely. Great news.
Thank
It's
you.
questions to officers, really.
Question, it's a statement. I'd like to thank the officers for their time and effort and the Director of Leisure and Facilities for their engagement with the public, the consultation that's gone through the due process and the amount of work that's been put into this application. On behalf of my residents, I would say thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Right. So we've got no more questions to officers. Thank you very much. Now, members, I don't know what there is to debate, but we're going to start it off and we're at the debates open. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you. The swimming pool opened on the 1st of May 1966. I know because I was there.
Not that old, surely.
Sorry. It's been a fantastic facility for Whittlesea. It's getting a bit old, it's getting a bit tired, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Whittlesea, Fenland as a whole, to invest in our town. As the Mayor just mentioned, we get people from well outside of our area. I meet people down there from Kings Lynn, from Facet, many people from Peterborough, because we know that Peterborough doesn't have facilities like this. And I would also, again, come on to the fact of people with disabilities. We have a lot of disabled people, clubs, that come from far afield that use that facility because it's the best facility in the area. And the director has shown me what the new facilities would be like for disabled and access people. That's not only for people with physical disabilities, but those with learning difficulties and those with sight impediments and hearing. So this is our opportunity, and I would urge councillors here to fully support this application. Thank you.
Very good. What a great accolade that was. Anybody else gone? I'm just still in debate after that. No one else want to speak? No. Okay, nothing to say. What a wonderful application it is. I've got anything to say? No. Right. We go to anybody wants to propose. We go with officer recommendation to approve this application. Councillor Gerstner and Councillor French is going to second it. To sum it all up, we've got a proposal to go with officer recommendation to approve this application. Councillor Gerstner is going to propose it. Second is Councillor French. Can I have a show of hands on that?
It's a unanimous decision, Chairman.
The application has been approved. Right. As it's really hot at the moment, I'm going to take this opportunity just to have a 5 or 10 minute comfort break. Thanks very much. Thank you, members, for being back very promptly. Now hand over to Kimberly Crowe. She's a development officer here at Fenland to present agenda item 7, F/YR 260176. It's a PIP application, planning in principle application. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So agenda item 7 is a permission in principle application for 4 dwellings at land east of 24 Eastmoor Lane in Doddington. So the application site is edged in red on the location plan and aerial photo on screen. The site is an agricultural field situated to the east of existing built form and is accessed via a public footpath, with the recorded public highway vehicle rights currently ending approximately 45 metres to the west of the site. There is existing residential development in relatively close proximity to the application site. The site itself is not, however, considered to positively relate to nor integrate with those surrounding dwellings. Instead, it appears as a detached and discordant parcel of land lacking any physical or visual connection to the established pattern of development. This is exacerbated by the row of bungalows which run parallel to the western boundary of the application site. So an indicative site plan is shown on screen. So you can see that row of bungalows to the west. And some site photographs. So the top left photo shows the existing footpath looking west along Eastmoor Lane. The top right photo shows part of the site itself, and you can't really see, but the row of bungalows is in the back of that photo. And the bottom photo looks eastwards down Eastmoor Lane with the site on the right-hand side. The proposal represents encroachment into the open countryside, introducing suburban built form, thereby eroding rural character and the edge of settlement transition. Although nearby approvals are material considerations, this side of Eastmoor Lane is considered to be open countryside. Furthermore, Eastmoor Lane is currently considered inadequate to accommodate further development due to potential impact on the public footpath. The proposed development also would yield a density of approximately 8 dwellings per hectare. Although low density aligns with the rural context, it represents inefficient use of land and conflicts with the environmental and economic objectives of sustainable development as set out within the MPPF and the local plan. The location and the amount of development proposed are contrary to policies LP3, LP12, LP15 and LP16 of the Fenland local plan, and the application is therefore recommended for refusal.
Thank you very much. We have one speaker on this application. I'd now like to ask Matthew Hall, of course he's the agent, to make his presentation to the committee. You've got 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. So all of this site is in flood zone 1. And as we saw there from the Fenland District Council location planning Google map that the officer kindly put up, it abuts existing residential development to the west and to the north, which, as you can see on that map, which I'll come back to. And all of that development there, you can see, is all part of the built-up form of Doddington. Under policy LP3, page 16 of the local plan, Doddington under policy LP3 is a growth village where small village extensions will be appropriate. LP3. This is, looking at the map, a small village extension of linear in form. Yes, it's an indicative layout. It's not fixed. It's an indicative layout. It's not backland development at all. Small village extension. Cambridgeshire County Council Highways aren't objecting to this application. When you look at this sort of application, thinking back, you look at other applications similar to this at the old dairy yard in Maney. Numerous plots have been approved off there. Black Mill Road, Chatteris. Some of those are delegated approvals. West Street, Chatteris, large site there of a similar access like this. I think that was an approval as well, delegated approval. This site has not been used for over 7 years. So there's no loss of agricultural land here at all. It's not been used as agricultural land for over 7 years. It's scrub land, which was shown on the photos. So this is a PIP application with regards to land use and location. The development, the proposal abuts existing development, small scale extension, policy LP3. So looking at the map on the screen that we submitted, you can see the site is at the bottom, edged in red, and you can see there's existing development to the north, that's been there 20, 25 years. To the west, there's all development to the west, that's been there fraction over 20 years. And the large hatched area to the north, that's where a planning inspector approved 47 dwellings, major application. So we're not in an elsewhere location here, we're not in not elsewhere location at all. We're a butting development. You can see, that's all part of the built-up form of Doddington. You could say this is squaring it off in that area. And the blue line that I've roughly drawn on that drawing, that's a footpath, public footpath, shows this in a sustainable location directly opposite this site. And that footpath was put in for Walden Close and East Stalls Close. It's been there 20, 25 years. And you can see here, there's numerous development around us here. Ideal small-scale development. It really is an ideal site for small-scale development. Ideal. It's all in flood zone 1. It's an indicative layout that we submitted. It's not fixed, and I understand that. It's indicative layout, but it's not backland development. It will be linear development. We haven't put in for more than 4. We've restricted the amount. The site could probably take more than 4. But we've restricted the amount. It really is ideal for this kind of development. There's no loss of agricultural land because it's not been used for farming for over 7 years. You can see, even looking at that map, we're not in an elsewhere location. It abuts development to the north and to the west. Continuous development, all part of Doddington. It's not in elsewhere locations. And PIP applications, as we've heard, are about location and land use, as the officer report says. Small parcel of land, ideal for development, and policy LP3, page 16. Growth villages, which Doddington is, as we know, for these settlements, development, a new service provision, either within the existing urban area or a small village extension will be appropriate. That's what it says here. Policy, but it really is an ideal site for this kind of development. It's only a PIP we're looking at for land use for residential use. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, questions, clarifications? I can't look both ways. We'll take you ladies first, and then we're on our best behaviour this afternoon.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Hall, you did say which I've just got it up now, the Direction 47. Have they actually started building there?
When I went here about 3 weeks ago, no. That was 3 weeks ago, though. I don't believe they have at the moment, but the Doddington member may know more than me.
Okay. Again, you wanted another one, yeah? Another question? No, that's fine. Okay, Councillor March, your floor's yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon. A couple of questions. Number one, the land is not in a flood zone?
All in flood zone 1. Yeah, no flood zone. Yes.
Okay. Number two, with this, I'm getting very confused. The officer referred back to the footpath. I understood when we're looking at it, this is a byway, not a footpath. There seems to be a bit of a clash of information here. A byway is something very different to a footpath. So I'm just wanting clarification of what that road is up to that site. Is it a byway or is it a footpath?
It's my understanding that it is a footpath. Vehicle access rights end about 45 metres west of where the site is.
Obviously, we're still asking questions. Quite obviously, questions. That was just clarification because obviously the agent didn't know. But carry on. Yeah. Questions to agent. Yeah.
Yes. Just to add to what Kim said. The bungalows directly to the west, which abut this site, they've got an access off here. As to, I can't remember what the small close is, or miles aren't good enough for that. Painting, as the chairman has said, they've also got vehicle rights off here, and vehicles do go down here. The rough width of this varies. 4 metres. There's a verge to the north, which is, it varies in width, metre and a half. So obviously, it's wider than that. And obviously this side of it, it's obviously our site that could be widened to allow vehicle spaces, but I appreciate that's outside of a pit. I'm just trying to explain that. So we could widen it on our side, but that's outside of the scope of a pit. Yes.
Sorry, so just to clarify, is it a byway or is it a footpath? That's the clarification, because obviously County Council have made comment they have no issue, which is fine, but I'm just trying to work out whether it's a footpath or a byway.
We've got comments from the definitive map team at CAMS who have confirmed it's a footpath.
Okay, but okay, no problem.
A footpath it is then, folks. Right, any more questions for Mr Hall at all? Yes, Councillor Ackley?
Yeah, my only concern with it was refuge, picking the refuge up, rubbish.
When I went down here, oh dear, I'm talking a few years ago now, so this may be out of date. The refuge truck does go down there, and I believe it turns around in the small, I think it's Peyton Close, I can't see the name from here, and I believe it turns around there, so it does go down this road to service the bungalows that are there now.
Yeah, they have refuge bins when I look, but I mean, will it get down to? My only concern is picking the refuge up in future. Do you know what I mean?
Could we have the indicative layout I submitted on the screen, please? It is indicative. This isn't fixed, if possible, please. Glasses on. So this is an indicative layout, and you can see. Yep, sorry. This is an indicative layout, and you can see the bin lorry can come down here, go into the site. It can turn. This is indicative. It's not fixed. It is indicative, but the bin lorry could come down here. That access is adequate width, and it could turn within this site, and we'd have, like on other private drives we've done over the years, we'd have a legal agreement with Fenland's refuge collection to allow them to come on here, a liability agreement I call it, to allow them to come in here, turn and go out again. So yes, it could do. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Did you want, Councillor Miffordon, thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Can you tell me, please, what the rainwater management is going to be? And also, I am assuming they are going to be on septic tanks, or will they be connected to the mains?
So yes. Sorry, the lady was just.
It's just.
Can I answer?
You can just answer that, but yeah. I'm just going to remind everybody: it is just a pip. Is that land is the right use for 4 houses on that piece of land? It's got to come back to us at a later date, or somebody at a later date, for outline and going further on. But is this land fit for 4 houses? Full stop. But if you want to answer that, please do. But please bear in mind that is my comment.
In the top right-hand corner of our site plan, where the trees are and everything, and the hedge which we're maintaining, there is the Anglian water sewer, which is about 2.83 metres deep. There's an inspection chamber on our land, which picks up the sewer, so we've got the option to go into that sewer. With regards to surface water, there are ditches around here. Flood zone 1, will it be soakaways? Will we discharge a greenfield runoff rate to a ditch? We've got plenty of room. We could look to do either, but that would be subject to middle level. Okay, thank you.
But I'm going to close it in a minute. But just to give members a flavour of that, when the fail system in Doddington fails, because the pipes are not very thick, and very wide in Doddington, that is an overflow, and there's tankers go down there. I've seen them go down there 4 and 5 times a day and of an evening to pump out of there. So we are where we are with that. So that's where the tankers back and take it away to either Chatteris or March when there's an overflow, where the main sewage down Wood Street can't take all the effluent. But that's it. So it's still.
Sorry, Chair, just for clarification then, that doesn't flood. It is they going down to the sewage works to pump out from the sewage works. The area because the way it's sounding, it almost makes me wonder whether this area here floods with sewage what you're actually saying is when the sewage works is overloaded, they go down there and take it away from there, and it doesn't go onto this land.
No, absolutely not. It doesn't. No, it doesn't. And they also take it away down Cook's Green. There's another station there as well. It doesn't happen as much now because the pumping station down Wood Street has been upgraded. But so as the more houses in Donington, it will rear its ugly head again, I'm sure. But that's for clarification. Go back again. Any more questions to Mr. Hall before we let him go? Nope. Thank you. Well, members, questions, clarification to officers? Yes, there is. Councillor Murphy, then Councillor Gerstner. Thank you. That's Councillor Murphy.
Yeah, I'd just like an explanation. When I was reading this report, it sort of is against one another. Part of it says development in not to turn it down because of a development in the country, an open development in the countryside, which is only 4 houses. But then, as it goes on, it says not sufficient use of land. So what do you mean by that? Can have more than 4 houses on there? Because you said not sufficient use. So can they put more into it or not? Or is the 4 your limit?
Thank you, Chairman. As members know, when looking at a planning application, there will be different conflicts with different policies, and sometimes it can appear, to be a lack of a golden thread through the officer's report because of policies pull in different directions. Government guidance and our policies are clear, that development should be in sustainable locations, shouldn't be in have detrimental impacts on character area, but alongside that, if development is acceptable, then we should look to make full advantage of the development potential to potentially then look to limit impacts on future schemes. Officers have come to a conclusion quite clearly that we consider that the site is not appropriate for development in principle because, as you can see, if I can get this to work, as you can see here, these properties face inwards, these properties here face that way. The large development that was allowed uphill that hasn't been constructed up here doesn't interrelate to that. So in our opinion, this parcel of land doesn't really fit as part of Doddington, as part of the urban grain, the built form. However, if members don't agree with that matter, we then need to look at the actual point of the number, which is obviously one of the things we can look at under the PIP, under limitations. As you can see here, there's a scheme where the number of properties face inwards to each other. They're of a acceptable urban grain, and this is sort of reflective through the built form through the wider area. As you can see here, while it's only indicative, this is 4 units on very large plots with an awful lot of landscaping, amenity space, etc., that doesn't really follow the urban grain of this character of this area. Take into account this is flood zone 1, take into account the limited parcels of land that we have as an authority that are that, and guidance in relation to looking to optimise the use of appropriate land, providing 4 units on this site. I think was it 8 dwellings per hectare, which is very, very, very low. If members were to consider the site is in principle is acceptable, we would actually suggest yes that there should be more units. So we basically have 2 separate issues with it. One is the principle. The second is that the underuse of the site. So although they may look conflicting, it's just looking at 2 completely different items in isolation, and obviously they have to then form the same report. So it can look like they're pulling against each other, but they're just different considerations under the same umbrella, which is the development. Thank you, Chairman.
Did you want to come back, Councillor Murphy? Did you? No? You do, Councillor French. Thank you.
Thank you. I welcome what Matthew has just said. As you're all aware, we had a PIP training a few weeks ago, and a PIP is a PIP land usage. I totally agree 4 would probably not be enough, but it's land usage, and as far as I'm concerned, that piece of land is fit to be used.
Through Chairman, for clarity, number is also something we have to. So if members agree that 4 is under use, my advice would be that, but they agree with the principle of housing on that, I would suggest that it should still be refused, but that but only on the volume. I think it's the second reason for refusal, and then the applicant should come back with a greater number rather than. But I think if you look at that, just look at that plan there, you can show how it's clearly underutilised in the site in comparison to the context of the wider area.
Right, I'll bring Councillor French back to continue, and then I'll take Councillor Marks after that.
Thank you, Chairman. It is a PIP and it's land usage. I think it qualifies for land usage. I understand what Matthew is saying with regard to but it can come back with outline, it can come back with whatever full application, and the numbers will be taken into taken into consideration.
Thank you, Councillor. Just before I take Councillor Marks, did you gave the indication that wasn't right?
Dear Chairman, as the officer's report explains in paragraph 3.1, there are 3 things we consider: location, use, and amount of development. We often talk about the principle of the use, but the other 2 are still considerations. Obviously, that's one of the things. Even if you don't agree, or you don't agree that the location is unacceptable, I think a professional sit here looking at this, and I think the quantum is not an acceptable volume. It's not optimising the use of the land, which is what we're required to do. And if members come to the conclusion that this site is acceptable as a principle, and that the location is acceptable, so that's the first 2 arms of what we look at under a PIP. It's very rare, I would say, that we end up in a situation where officers are going to be saying we should be getting more on the site, but it is a consideration that we should be looking at legally. We can't ignore one of the arms of the legislation. We need to look at all 3. And if we grant it for 4, that is the number that will come forward in theory through the technical details. That is the consideration. That is the matter. I don't know if Steve wants to clarify if anything I've said or disagree with me.
No, nothing more to say.
Do you want to quickly come back? Are you as confused as I am?
Do you want to answer if they're confused, Stephen?
Well, I'm not confused, to you, Chairman. I mean, what Matthew is saying is that this should be refused, but if members think it's suitable for residential property,
right,
then it should be used maximally in accordance with government guidance.
Right, yeah.
So it's 2 stages, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah. Saying is basically then, if we think that's right for 4 houses, that will become 4 houses at a later stage. But if we refuse it just on numbers, it could come back as 8 or 10 or whatever. So that's what you're saying. It isn't ultimate land use. You're not using it fully. Is that what you're saying in layman's terms, basically? Right. So I'll take. Yeah, you can do. Anyway, so any more questions for officers? Different questions? No? Okay. It's time for debate in respect of the material considerations, and ask officers any question relevant to the application. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand and we'll debate, and Councillor Marks would like to kick it off.
Thank you, Chair. I hear what the planning officers have said, planning manager. However, I sit here week in or month in, month out, and I hear so much stuff about land usage. Do we want that to look like stand ground? As you go over the bridge and there's 10, 15 houses because of land usage, or do we want something that actually looks acceptable and works in with the village? And I'm sorry, we've been told it's an indicative scheme. The layout could change. They could rotate those by 90 degrees, 180 degrees, whatever. We are here solely today, reference PIP, and what we were told in training is land usage. Does that fit into land uses? Use? It continues on from the rest of the village on the road. We've already heard by the chairman saying lorries go up and down there. That was my big concern, was the road link to it. But actually, I can't argue that one now, because if you put HGVs up there to the sewage works, it's got to be suitable for the average car, van, or whatever. So I think we're going around in houses because we're going around in the houses is it suitable for land usage? And I don't think we should dictate whether it has 10, 15, 20. I know what we're being told, national policy and all the rest of it. But occasionally, you've got to be a bit sensible and look at it and think, some people want big gardens. I hate a big garden. It takes me 3 hours to cut the bloody thing. But in saying that, somebody may want to do that with children and families and everything else. Why are we going to then say, yes, we think it's acceptable, but then you've got to make it 8 or 10 houses? That will be a nice development, and the road will be improved, because obviously the builders will improve the road to get up to that development in the first place. So I'm sorry, on this occasion, I'm going to have to go against officers, and I think that should be accepted as a development.
Okay, I'm going to take Councillor French, and I'll take Councillor Rackley.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, as I said earlier, we had PIP training, and we certainly were not told in PIP training that it depended on numbers. We were told it was land use and land use only.
Fair point. Councillor Rackley, the floor is yours.
I'd just like to reiterate what Councillor Mark said. I think word for word he got it bang on. I couldn't disagree with one word he said.
That's nice. It's a nice accolade once again. We're all being very friendly this afternoon, aren't we? Okay, hopefully it may continue. So we're still in debate, anybody? We're going to close this debate now. No, it's closed. Officers, have you got anything to say? You haven't got anything to say at all? Oh, you have. Alan has. Well done, Alan.
Yeah, just to go back to the amount of the three considerations of PIP, so it's location, use and amount. So as you can see there, indicative layout, 4 dwellings proposed. If you look at that site, notwithstanding Councillor Marx's argument, the site, you could double up the number of dwellings on that site and they would still be more than adequate large plots with large rear gardens. So when we're saying about amount, when considering PIP applications, is it an inefficient use of land? And we would argue as officers that's an inefficient use of land. The developer, if permission were to be given in principle, the developer could fit more dwellings on there, and national policy would encourage there to be more dwellings on that site. Otherwise, it's an inefficient use of land, notwithstanding Councillor Marx's previous comments.
That is a point we've spoken to several times this afternoon. Okay, Councillor Marx.
Just come back on that point. Alan, I totally accept what you say. However, that's your perception of that area. To me, that looks to be a good proposal going forward. Yes, it may not use every inch of land, but we are also criticised when we see these 250, 300 developments. Why didn't you go for 150? And the other thing is, we hear flooding all the time. Well, there's less concrete there because there's going to be less houses. So we're actually mitigating against flooding or anything else going forward. So I understand it's a 50-50. It's your perception and your reading of the MPF, which I totally agree. But at times people want big gardens.
Right. So that's it. You haven't got anything else to say, have you? Okay, I'm stopping this now. So we're going on to, do I have a proposer to go with officer recommendation to refuse planning permission? No? Okay. Fair enough. Can I ask for a different proposal, please? Well, Councillor Gerstner, what are you proposing and the reasons for going against officer recommendation? Sorry. Sorry. Yeah. So I'm going to say, can I have another proposal? And obviously we're going to go back because obviously for the tape.
I recommend going against officer recommendation on the grounds of consistency, and I quote, we've had several other applications similar to this where they come on the boundary of an outlying area, and I quote Eastry as an example.
Righty-ho, fair enough I suppose. Consistency is as good a reason as any, I suppose. Have you got a second for that? Councillor Marks. Councillor Marks has seconded it, so we're okay at this one, Councillor Rackley. Yeah, I'm going to bring in our legal advisor, Stephen Turnbull.
Thank you. I think Councillor Gersner does need to address the reasons for refusal, which refer to it being development on agricultural land and introducing a suburban built form. Rob, I think you need to add a bit more detail to that which you gave.
Regarding building on agricultural land, we've heard from the agent that the land hasn't been used for at least 7 years. It follows on the natural form from the previous developments that are there already. So we're not building in the open countryside. What was the other one? Sorry, Stephen.
What you're saying is it abuts.
It abuts, the boundary abuts the other.
Yeah,
the other.
Okay, so
I don't believe it's building.
That's the word you need to.
Okay.
And reason number 2.
Not make a vision. Okay, not everybody. Again, I believe that's perception. Not everybody wants to have like crammed in buildings. This gives a good fluid building plots. Looking at the size of some of the other gardens, like I think it says number 7 or number 2. So it follows on a size of plot. If you look, that's a single. By the looks of that, there's a single house on one plot. So it's keeping the character within the length there.
Okay. Did you want to come back, Stephen, on that? No. So you're happy with the reasons, are you?
I've made a note of them.
Well, you're stopping short of saying you're happy.
I'm happy with it.
No. You're content.
Content.
No. I'm looking for. Okay. Anyway, it's what it is. It's what it is. So we've got a proposal to go with against officer recommendation to approve this application, proposed by Councillor Gersner and seconded by Councillor Marks. Can I have a show of hands on that?
Application's approved, then.
Application has been approved. Thank you very much. So, I'll now hand over to David Grant, Senior Development Officer here at Fenland, who wants to present agenda item number 8, F/YR 250937. It's another planning in principle one again. So, over to you, David, when you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Item 8 is a PIP application for the development of up to 2 dwellings on land to the south of Woodlands, 20D Primrose Hill, outside the development footprint of Doddington. The site is situated to the east of Primrose Hill and is in cultivated woodland use. Adjacent development consists of dwellings at 22A and 22B Primrose Hill to the south of the site, and a replacement dwelling named Wildwood to the west on the opposite side of Primrose Hill, as well as a commercial development named the Quadrant. Arable Fields lie to the east, and beyond Arable Fields to the north lies a dwelling of exceptional design approved under reference F/YR21/0015/F. An exceptional design dwelling is an exemption from normal rural residential policy and is supported by paragraph 84 of the National Planning Policy Framework document. The site is bordered by a 1 metre high timber post and rail fence to the south, beyond which is the driveway which serves 22B Primrose Hill. A 1 metre high timber post and rail fence borders the rear of the site to the east, with an established area of trees to the western frontage. The site is bordered by an established area of trees and line of infant trees to the north, with a drain located with the established areas of trees along the western site frontage. Under policies LP3 and LP12 of the Fenland Local Plan, the site is considered to be in an elsewhere location where new housing is only supported if it is demonstrably essential to a rural-based enterprise. No such justification has been provided. The development would therefore be in direct conflict with the settlement hierarchy and spatial strategy of the local plan. As you can see from the next slide, the site is visually and physically detached from the main settlement and would result in the urbanisation of the open countryside with associated harm to rural character. Although the density of development proposed is low and could be accommodated physically on the site, this does not overcome the fundamental policy objections regarding location and use. Other technical details, including highway safety, would also be addressed if required to be so at the technical details consent stage of the application process. The County Highways Officer objects to the application, expressing concerns regarding inter-vehicle visibility displays. Slide 4 gives some photos of the site. Photo 1 is a view of the site frontage. Photo 2 is a view of the site showing a large number of trees throughout the site. Photo 3 is a view looking north from the site, and photo 4 is a view looking south. So, in summary, this application seeks permission in principle for the development of 2 dwellings on land south of the Woodlands 20D Primrose Hill, which, as previously stated, is outside the development footprint of Doddington. The principle of development is not supported as the site does not join the built form. There is no planning justification for dwellings in this location. This application site constitutes an area of land located outside the development footprint of Doddington, and development of this site would result in unacceptable urbanisation, extending development into the countryside. It would likely set a precedent for future development, further eroding the character of this area and open countryside. The development proposal will be in an elsewhere location, contrary to policies LP3 and LP12 of the Fenland local plan, and as such, any residential development on this site will be contrary to the above considerations, and thus, in terms of location and use, this planning in principle application fails. Therefore, the recommendation is one of refusal.
Yes, thank you, David. We have one set of speakers on this application. I'd now like to invite Ian and Sarah Gowler, they're the applicants, to make their presentation to the committee. You've got 5 minutes between you, of course. Thank you.
Thank you, members, for your time this afternoon. My wife's got stage fright, so I'll speak on my own. I'd like to start by thanking officers for the time between the deferral of the last application, for allowing us to remove the description from the self-build, which was previously another reason for refusal. Regarding elsewhere location, our site, although some distance from the village, is a similar distance to application FYR 23-0115-F, noted A on the slide attached. This is located along Benwick Road and is approximately half a kilometre from the nearest footpath and street lighting. This committee supported that application and it was approved. Our site has a footpath located approximately 200 metres to the north at the junction of Dykemore. We who live in number 22, which is just to the south of this site, and we regularly walk along the grass verge, which I maintain, up to that footpath, and regularly walk up to the village, normally to the pub. Most recently, the committee also supported the application noted C on the attached slide. Also, sites noted D and E were also supported by this planning committee, although no formal decision has yet been issued. These sites were in flood zone 2 and 3. On the next slide, it shows a bus stop approximately 50 metres from the site outside the entrance to 22A, not 300 metres as noted in 9.10 of the committee report. The bus timetable is also shown. I'm not sure if it shows up. For one of the buses that stop at this stop, it is an hourly service both towards March and towards Ely. A site should not be considered as elsewhere, as it is part of the settlement of Doddington. There is no specific definition within national planning policy as to what defines a settlement. Doddington is also a growth village, and this site can be considered as an extension and infill to existing dwellings either side. Moving on from elsewhere location, this site, Yeah, sorry. This slide also shows an inset at the bottom, an extract from our submitted drawing. You perhaps can't see on there, but it does show the required visibility displays for what is a 60 limit. We maintain that verge, so it's safe for us currently to access our drive anyway. I'm also pleased to say that the site is solely in flood zone 1, not in flood zone 2 or 3, and although it's not part of a PIP, when we built my dad's house, shown in this photo here, we consulted with the drainage board at an early day and successfully got their permission to connect to a ditch that surrounds my lands. On this slide are some photos of the completed dwelling that my dad now lives in, which was the important design aspects which got approved. Me and my wife are looking, as part of the 2 dwellings, would be looking to deliver something similar in design as per the images below. It would also be nice to live next door to my dad as he gets older. So in summary, this application benefits from being in the lowest risk of flooding. We've demonstrated that visibility displays can be achieved, even though that is not subject to the PIP. For consistency, and based on all the information presented, we feel it is not an isolated or elsewhere location. We therefore hope members will support the principle of development in this location. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions to Mr. Gowler? I suppose Mrs. Gowler still doesn't want to participate, so still to Mr. Gowler then, please, and Councillor Marks.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Gowler, reading here on one of the regarding the refusal, that property is built. Am I correct? The picture that's above there.
The 2 photos in the top of that slide, yeah, is built. Yeah, and my dad lives in it, has lived in it for about 18 months.
Okay, so one of the things it says character of the area and the open countryside. Well, to me, it looks like where you're planning to or proposing to build is actually in a wooded area. So it's not open as in will be seen particularly, it's more of a wooded area. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And one of the reasons for showing those images, I know it's only a PIP, but is the whole principle of us wanting to do our own build there is because it's got the established, some of the trees are not very big, but we want to work with those trees and make a kind of bespoke house around those.
Okay, to a lay person like me, open area is just a field with nothing around it. So you are looking to put the character within. Thank you.
Okay, so I suppose what you really mean is you're looking for I know it's only a PIP, but you're looking for something very similar to what your dad actually lives in. You're looking. I know it's only a PIP. I realise that planning in principle. You're looking for a special.
Yeah, obviously, I know it come up.
I know we know
committees ago. There's no guarantee with the PIP.
I realise that,
but that's we're applying for two plots. The one I can't say about the other one. That we'll probably sell that to fund. But for the plot we're looking to build,
it'll be a special. It possibly will. That's all we want to know.
Sure,
yeah.
But yeah, obviously that's not tied to anything.
It's not. I realise a PIP is a PIP, but I'm just trying to get a flavour of what you're trying to do there. Councillor Marks again.
Just for clarity, there is services to site.
Yeah, so in the service, there's a large walk main in the verge at the front of the site, and I own the property, the land behind, which there's a high voltage cable supplying, and there is on our particular plot, there is also a cable literally on that site that we can use. We didn't know anything about it until we built my dad's house, and then obviously drainage. I know it's outside of PIP and details, but drainage would be a septic tank or a treatment plant, and we'd look to engage with the drainage board early days to get their consent to discharge. There's a ditch at the front of the site, but that's not in great condition, and we have concerns at where that discharges to. But I own the adjoining land, which has other ditch access to it anyway. But we'd have to obviously consult with drainage board about where and if they'd let us connect.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Councillor Gerstner.
Thank you. The land usage at the moment, is just a spinney or a wood, or is it used for any other reason?
No, it's just a wood. The original idea was we'd grow wood for what I used to have as a wood burning boiler. Our house was running on oil and was costing a fortune, but the land quality is dreadful. There's only about 6 or 9 inches in old money of topsoil on this piece of land, and then it's clay. So the trees haven't grown very well. Most of them trees have been there about 10 years. And you can see they've not grown very tall because they're literally straight into the clay.
Righty ho. Any more questions for Mr. Gowler before we let him go? Yep, thank you very much. So, it's come time for questions for officers. No questions for officers at all before I close that? No? Okay. So, now I'd like to invite members to debate the item with respect to the material considerations and ask officers any question relevant to the application. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand. So we're in debate. Who wants to kick this off? Councillor Marks, you're the PIP specialist.
I'm getting the PIP. Let's put that. Anyway, I think no. I hope. No, it's here we go again. We are here looking at land usage. We've heard from Mr. Gowler that the land is not of great quality. The open space now is a wooded area, from what we can understand. And I have to say, I drive along there fairly regularly. Yes, highways have got an issue regarding it's a 60 mile an hour with splays, but we've heard from Mr. Gowler that he can meet those. And at the end of the day, this is just a PIP. It is, do we think that is suitable to put a property on or 2 properties on or not? And I think we go back to the argument previously. To me, it's land usage. It makes, I'm surprised we're not getting told we've got to put 50 houses on there instead of just 2, because, you know, again, it's a PIP and we aren't using it. But I think it's a sensible development in a sensible place. Yes, you could argue it's outside the built form of Doddington. However, Fenland, that's how Fenland Village has always been, on the roadside. And I keep coming back to that. Lots of, you go to Ramsey's Heights, Ramsey St Mary's, that's a Fenland Village. They're built on the side of road. This one just happens to be stepped in a wooded area, making good use of land use. So, for me, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go yet again against officers' recommendation and say that I personally think this should go through.
Would that be the same highways in a previous application where there are 150 houses, hypothetically, outside of Chatteris, that let 150 houses go on the 60 mile an hour road that you and I and Councillor Benny sat there, and we were very fortunate not to see an accident on several occasions? Would that be Cambridgeshire County Highways?
That would be.
I've got a funny feeling that would be.
Chairman, that would be the one with the speed camera, not a quarter of a mile up the road from it, as I remember, and also it being given as a red route as well, which is a danger. But again, that's highways and they're a laptop.
Maybe they lack consistency.
Maybe.
Anyway, moving on, I think. So we are still in debate. I know I made a comment, but still in debate. Anyone who wants to add to that debate? No. Okay, I'm closing the debate now. Officers, it's up to your turn. You haven't got anything to say. I don't blame you. Okay, so I'm looking. It's proposal time. Do I have a proposer to go with officer recommendation to refuse planning permission on this development or this? No, I can't see anything there. Cutting time short. Can I have another proposal then, please? So, Marks, what is your proposal?
I propose to go against officer's recommendation on this.
And the reasons?
Reason being, I do not believe this is in open countryside, as we've already discussed. It is actually in a wooded area, which we understand is not in good health. So this is making good use of land, because obviously we're putting properties that are also hidden within that. regarding it being an elsewhere location, we've already given 2 across the road. I know they're in dispute at the present time, and one just round the corner, and there are other dwellings already there, including one that a builder in Maney has recently built just across the road and about 200 yards up the road. We also, as an elsewhere location, we have a bus stop out the front, so if you have a bus stop, you must have people there, so there must be some sort of people living there.
Councillor French, you're going to second it. Did you want to come in there, Stephen? No. Okay, so I thought you might want to say something, but obviously you don't. It's fairly clear to me, steer where we're going. I'm quite happy with that. So to sum it all up, we've got a proposal to go against officer recommendation. It's a PIP, so there'll be no conditions at all, from Councillor Marks, seconded by Councillor French. Can I have a show of hands on that proposal?
It's a unanimous decision, Chairman.
Thank you very much for that. So the application has been approved. So I'm going to hand over to Zoe Blake. She's the development officer here at Fenland, to present agenda on number 9. It's F/YR250724. It's on Fenland District.
Hang on, wait.
Yeah. Okay. Right. It's before us today because it is on Fenland District Council land. So whenever you're ready, please. Councillor Gerson's gone, so shall we have 5 minutes and hopefully he'll be back. Yeah, thank you, members. I'm going to start over again. I now hand it over to Zoe Blake. She's a development officer here to present agenda item number 9, F/YR250724. It's a Fenland District Council who own the land, so that's why it's here. So whenever you're ready, Zoe, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. So this application is for the installation of 15 angling platforms on the south bank of River Ning, West End Park in March. So the application site is a strip of land on the south bank which is set east of the central pedestrian bridge which leads to West End. So the site is located within March Conservation Area. So the development proposed is 15 angling platforms as shown in the plan on the screen. Each platform is shown by a small square protruding from the red line. So an example of a typical side elevation and site plan is shown on screen. The platforms would extend some 1.2 metres from the riverbank and would have a width of some 1.5 metres. So the applicant has stated that the proposed angling platforms will be made from recycled plastic and will be fixed using hand-driven timber posts. So photo 1 shows a view of the riverbank showing the pedestrian path adjacent to the site. Photo 2 is a view from the pedestrian bridge showing the width of the river, and photos 3 and 4 are examples of the platform locations. So in summary, the proposal seeks full plan permission for the installation of 15 angling platforms. The site is located on the south bank of River Ning. The site is set east of the central pedestrian bridge located on West End Park, which leads to West End. The riverbank includes considerable hedging and trees. So as confirmed by the agent, it is not proposed to carry out works at any trees as the existing fishing platforms are already established. It is considered that there will be benefits from the development in relation to health and well-being for both local communities and visiting people, where the proposal would lead to safer and more accessible riverbank for recreational purposes. This enhancement has the potential to create a growth in tourism for the town, which has subsequent further positive economic benefits. The proposed development will not adversely impact upon the character of the conservation area, nor will it adversely impact on the neighbouring properties due to sufficient separation distances. There would also be no unacceptable impact in relation to ecological and tree matters. As such, the application is recommended for approval subject to conditions.
Okay, we have one written representation on this application. I'd like to ask Member Services to read this out. So over to you when you're ready, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I live at 17 West End March, opposite George Campbell Centre, with the wooded hill area in between. I originally agreed to proposals for fishing platforms along the Old Nene, as so many of them were nearly inaccessible to those wishing to fish who hadn't got platform-making equipment. I presume, though, that existing pegs between Town Bridge and Bypass Bridge would be used. I objected to first proposal plan as the making of a new peg was sited exactly opposite our house, when there isn't a peg there presently. I then objected to the second proposal plan as none of my previous objections had been taken into account. In fact, even worse than that, the plan has now cited 3 pegs, all new, opposite our house, one on each border and one opposite the centre exactly. It seems again that my objections have been ignored as the officers have now approved said plan for passing. Major points being, these pegs would massively encroach further on me and my family's privacy, with occupants looking directly into our back garden, this being part of a narrow part of the river. It is not a safe area to position pegs due to the vicinity of the hill, which is regularly frequented by youths who continue to cause antisocial behaviour by vandalising it, throwing debris, branches, bikes, shopping trolleys, rocks down the hill into the river. In the last 3 months there have been 3 bikes, 4 trolleys, etc., etc. It is, I suggest, the most unpeaceful place to fish on the whole river length. I should know. due to the constant shouting and screaming in foul language that cascade from the hill. It is so bad we don't allow our grandchildren to go into our back garden. I suggest any new pegs positioned here will be subject to vandalisation within a short space of time. I am confident of this as I've watched the hill's fauna and flora be systematically destroyed. This has been allowed to happen even though it has always been a designated conservation area. My friends and I regularly fish from our mooring, which we have a right to do so, and we will continue to do so, no matter who is fishing on the opposite bank. I suggest this would cause major conflicts, especially if fishermen were part of a match. We have complained consistently for so many years, but nothing has changed. So as I hope you can see, this further loss of privacy would add to the negative experience we currently have to endure. All I ask is for all of your understanding and compassion in this matter.
Thank you, Zoe, for the presentation, and thank you.
It's just dawned on me, Chair, I've got a fishing licence. Would that be conflict of interest?
Anyway, so thank you, Zoe, for your presentation, and thank you for reading that out, Joe. Excellent. So, we have got obviously we haven't got any speakers, obviously, with that presentation. So, members debate the application. Councillor French would like to. Sorry, to officers. Sorry, question to officers. Sorry.
That is more a statement than a question. I do have questions to officers. The land is owned by FDC. Unless my colleague in the Cabinet can tell me, we were not aware of this application. We have not been consulted on this application at all. I did speak to our leader at 6 o'clock this morning, and he certainly was not aware of this application. I've got no problems with the application, but if there's any damage to that riverbank, there needs to be a condition in there, and any damage to the actual, whatever you want to call them. I'm assuming it's an angler fishing company, is it? Not sure, but I would like to see a condition in there. But we're all members of FDC. None of us have actually declared that we are a member of FDC. So
no, that's a good point. We ought to probably do that, Joe, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think perhaps we ought to do that. So
Cabinet members were not aware of this at all.
That's a good point. Excellent point. So that was a statement, and I suppose now, have you got anything to say to Councillor French's question?
Yeah, thank you for raising the matter of damage to the river bank, Councillor French. This was something we have considered as part of the application. We have had a consultation response from middle level commissioners, and in addition to requiring plan permission to install these angling platforms, the applicant would also require a licence from middle level commissioners. As part of that, it's likely that middle level commissioners will require some sort of maintenance strategy or plan. So that would be undertaken through middle level commissioners licence, not part of the planning application. In terms of any damage, like I say, the management would be done through middle level commissioners, not as part of the planning application.
Can I just come back? I know ownership of land is not planning. I can put an application in for your back garden if I want. They did serve a notice, I believe it was October and November, to FDC. Unfortunately, assets managers and holidays are couldn't. So there still needs to be some kind of arrangement and agreement by FDC and FDL. Have you considered that?
It's a question for you because I can't answer it.
If that's in terms of the maintenance, that's back to middle level commissioners and the licence that they would have to grant for installing the platforms. Like I say, it's in addition to the planning application, so we can grant planning permission, but maintenance or any damage to the bank, they would still need a license. So that would be clarified under their license application to middle level commissioners.
But the land belongs to FDC, not middle level.
As
Yeah, sorry, if I may answer Councillor French's point. The landowner, we mustn't, it's important members don't muddle their role as members of the planning committee and the council's position as landowner. If there is there will need to be some agreement, if there isn't already, between the users of these platforms and the freeholder, which is the council. That's not a matter for the members of this committee at all. That's separate and not a planning issue. What is a planning issue is the fact that, as I've been told, the middle level commissioners have the ability to control and impose conditions on the users of these platforms in terms of future maintenance. That's not the most strong material consideration, but it is background information.
I can see the relevance of what you're saying. I can indeed. Councillor Gerstner.
Thank you. We have some of these fishing platforms in Whittlesea. Let me say now on Sunday, to the officers, yeah. Right, so the land is owned by Fenland Council, but the structure partially goes into the river. So that's where middle level come into it, okay? And in our particular case, we had a project manager who spent over a year negotiating and getting all the conditions put in place with middle level commissioners. Not so much Fenland Council was quite happy with the proposal and everything. It was middle level commissioners, and this is what this application needs to be considered. If it's approved here, the applicant then needs to satisfy mid level commissioners on some very stringent conditions.
Absolutely correct. And I know that from personal experience also. So that is the you've got the gist of it and knocked it on the head there. Well done. Right. So any more questions to officers before we go into debate? No. Right. We're in debate. So who wants to kick this off? Councillor French.
Yeah. Thank you, Chairman. Right. So we've had a written rep from Mr. Boyce, and it is quite concerning. I do know it's part of my district ward. I do know what the kids are like round at the hill, etc., etc. I mean, at one time we were at where the library is. We were going to take the Tubby Hill away because of the amount of damage they were doing. Is it possible that one of these can be removed from outside? I believe it's number 17. If I can just come back. I mean, according to Mr. Boy's written rep, he's repeatedly contacted. I don't know whether it's the applicant or Fenland. So why was there no discussions with this gentleman? I mean, I don't know who he is. To try to sort something out. I mean, normally if there's a strong objection, you would discuss something with somebody. It's a very, very well used park, and I know the fishermen, are very keen. I think this has probably gone on for years, because Cheesy Bob, who is on the market, he's the main person. So I just think it's unfortunate for the gentleman who's been complaining for several years.
Okay, so what we could do, what we could do is defer this application if the committee thought that your feelings were strong enough to get more information, to speak to the applicant and ask him to look at the application again. That is something we could do. That's an L gift. Well, that's what we could do. So, Councillor Marks.
My concern, obviously, we've heard what the gentleman said via written correspondence, but my concern has always been, when you read this, is actual bank maintenance. We hear from the IDBs, or we hear from middle level, they've always wanted 9 metres to keep the banks upkept. we've already heard this thing is overgrown. If we're going to defer, I'd actually quite like to have the IDB here, invite the IDB to come and tell us what their thoughts are on bank maintenance, because I think that plays quite a big thing into this as well. And let's be fair about it, it's quite a jewel in the crown having the river go through March, and you see the picture of the boat on there, but it was quite weed grown as well. So maybe it would be nice to hear from, thank you, number two, it would be nice to hear what maintenance they're proposing to put in place, because all that's going to happen is we're going to put these, whatever you want to call them, in fishing platforms in, which are going to need to be cut in and all the rest of it. And they're saying that the banks aren't particularly well maintained and the undergrowth around it. Well, let's hear from middle level what their proposal is as well. If we're going to do it, let's be proud of what we're doing, not just put a couple of planks on and let people fishing from there. So,
yeah, that's a relevant statement. Councillor Gerstner,
Thank you.
and then Councillor Rackley.
I'll go back to our experience. Let's get to the positive side. On Sunday, we had 3,000 people come to the Manor. They had a fishing exhibition on there that used our 15 platforms. They had some 200 young children, many in wheelchairs, that now have access to a riverbank. To see a young child in a wheelchair catch a fish for the first time in their life is a wonderful experience. Looking at your riverbank was very similar to ours. It's unkept, it's unsafe. These platforms could, I'm not saying will, could supply a safe means for many people to fish from. There will be some inconvenience, and I will now go to the negativity side. There is a somewhat conflict of interest when you want to maintain these platforms, like cut the grass around. You must not let one piece of grass fall in the river, because that conflicts with mid-level putting anything into the river. Okay? So maintain them is a major issue. What we've got here is an application for these platforms, and yours is different to ours because you've got residents opposite, and I take that fully into account. Please, but bear in mind the safety factor of fishermen that's fishing on that bank now.
That's very good. Roy, thank you for your input there. Councillor Marks.
Sorry.
I missed you at Councillor Rackley.
I think you're looking at the best silver fishing river in the country in the winter. Bob Nudd's a 4-time world champion, and he bought a house at Coldham because it's his favourite winter fishing. It's a fantastic facility March has got. The fact that you want to make it safe by putting 15 platforms in for fishermen to make it more safe for them to fish, because fishermen will fish it anyway. They'll adapt to the riverbank and whatever it is and dig in and make themselves a fun. The fact they're getting some platforms to fish on, I think is fantastic. And it's like Councillor Gacker said, it makes it disabled people and people who can't get better so much as myself. It makes it easier to fish, and it is a fantastic river to fish. You've got to realise March has got a fantastic asset. I wish we had the canal going through the middle of it like you've got.
Tidal River. Councillor Marks and then Councillor French.
We've obviously got two gentlemen here who are strongly into fishing, which is great, and I have no problem with that, but we also have to temper it by the residents who live there as well and what effect it's going to have to them. And one of the other concerns, and I've heard it round the Meany pit, and I'm to be fair, I think it's a really good application, but I'd just like a bit more information regarding the IDB, because round the Meany pit and stuff, where we've had overgrowth and stuff like that, the fishermen complain because they can't cast, because it goes, when they're casting out and stuff, they get caught in trees and brambles and all the rest of it. And I just feel we need to just hear from the IDB, because this is 15, but in the next application there's another 15. And I think the knock-on effect, you can see that river is slightly, has got weed in it already. And I just think for safety as well, because, we've got a lot of things taken, and also the neighbours who have obviously written in.
Can I just clarify, Councillor Marks? We have heard from the IDB in the officer report at 4.7. There's a full transcript of the IDB's response. They state that they're not a statutory consultee. They also confirmed that this is within 20 metres of their bylaw strip, so therefore they are interested in it. And they then go on to say that post-application, they would like us to consult with them as a matter of urgency. So following the planning permission or the planning application, contact them directly to discuss those matters. But in terms of the planning application itself, there is no objection from the IDB. So we have heard from them, and they have stated they do not object to the application per se, but they would want to have further discussions with us, which then goes on to the license application that the applicant would be required to submit to them. And as I say, the IDB have further control over those matters.
Firstly, it's nice that the IDBs actually, or middle level, have actually come back, because usually we sit here and hear that they haven't come back. However, I just think for comfort factor, a deferral today to bring the IDB to talk to us, when we've all sat, many of us have sat in IDB meetings and been told, oh, well, Fenland have done this, Fenland have done that. And you sit there and say, well, hang on a minute, you guys didn't respond. We have this golden opportunity to talk to the IDB to find out. And actually, maintenance is not only for these platforms, that maintenance might enhance the rest of that riverbank as well for people to enjoy. And it's not just fishermen. So I personally would like to see a deferral on this and invite the IDB along to the next planning committee meeting when we can, to have a chat with them before we made the final decision.
Fair enough. Certainly, I don't feel it warrants a refusal. I mean, referral, deferral, yeah, okay. So, anybody? Oh, Councillor French, sorry.
Thank you. Now, there is a second application for another 15. Why is it not here with this one?
It's the next application to be heard, Councillor French. It's the next application to be discussed.
Yeah. Why is it
There's two separate applications.
And I don't think the objector, Mr. Boyce, is objecting against the other one. I don't think so. He's only objecting on the first one.
If I may, Chair, my suspicion is that both will be the same regarding the riverbank and the other issues. We may not have Mr. Boyce here, but and again we may go and say, well, okay, Mr. Boyce, unfortunately, but I still think it's condition of riverbank and from the IDB of how these are being done. So maybe that knocks onto the second one as well. I think Councillor French's point was, why wasn't this just put in as one application for 30 as opposed to for two applications of 15?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, it depends on what we're going to go. Oh, sorry, Councillor French,
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand people who fish. I don't like fishing, but obviously it's a great sport, and I have been asked for years to repair the platform that's there. It's been damaged for years, but it's going to cost Fenland about £50,000. We just haven't got money for that. I understand. That stretch of the river is used all the time. They have fishing championships, etc., competitions. Yes, it's a great sport for some people, but we must not, at the detriment of somebody else, ruin their lives. So I would prefer that this was deferred, and we can discuss with the resident who has got great concerns, which is only right. He lives there; it's his home.
The one, Councillor Gerstner.
I concur with what everybody's saying, but I'm looking at 4.7 on the report from mid-level commissioners. There's quite a lot of questions that they're asking the applicant. So it's to the applicant to address this with the mid-level commissioners. They're the ones that need satisfying on this, and once the mid-level commissioners are satisfied, then I think we will be in a much better position then to look at this application.
Councillor Marks.
I think Councillor Gerstner is on the money there. The only thing I would say is those questions are probably the questions that actually the committee also need answers to, hence why inviting them along to come and tell us. And at the end of the day, we don't only represent fishermen. We don't only represent whoever, we represent the whole community. So we need to take in all of it as opposed and getting those answers. What's it going to hold it up for? A month, 2 months at tops? I would say still a deferral.
Okay, so I've got a steer where this is going. We can go round in circles. This debate's going to end now. Thank you. Have you got anything else to say about it all? Okay, no, you haven't. So now I'd like to do I have a proposer to go with officer recommendation to grant planning permission? Councillor Ackley. Have you got a seconder? Okay, Councillor Miffordin. So we've got a proposal on the table to go with officer recommendation to approve this application. Councillor Ackley is proposing it. Councillor Miffordin is seconding it. Can I have a show of hands on that?
2 votes, Chairman.
Those against? So that's failed. So I'm looking for another proposal. Councillor Marks.
Can I propose we defer this application, inviting middle level board along, hopefully actually asking the applicant to respond to the questions raised by middle level, so we have a clearer picture. And also, although we know from what we're being told that it's not a material reason, but I think Fenland District Council need to be clear on what's going on, certainly as councillors. So I think we need to get that and know exactly, because we could be giving this, which could be totally against the agreement that the fishermen have got from FDC, that we don't know. So I think I would be very uncomfortable to grant anything at this point in time until we have clarity on what the lease says to them as well, because we could shoot ourselves in the foot here.
Yeah, we need responsibility. We need to take this seriously. I mean, it's only 30 benches, but it still means a lot to most people. So anyway, what are you proposing?
I'm proposing a deferral, but can we do it? Is it possible? No, let's do that one first.
I've got a proposal from Councillor Marks to defer this application, seconded by Councillor French. Can I have a show of hands on that?
5 votes, Chairman.
Those against? I know you haven't got to vote again. Oh, so it's 6 then, and what, you're going to abstain? So that's 6.
Okay, 6 votes and 1 abstention.
Yeah, so that application has been deferred. So really, we need to go through the presentation again with the next one, because I think we may as well take just a vote on that one as well. I think we need to take a vote, don't we? We don't need the presentation again, do we? And go through all the same debate and everything like that, do we?
I think we do need to present it.
You think so?
Through Chair, I think you need the presentation, even if it's an abridged version.
Okay, that's
and
fine.
then if members move straight to deferring it, that's fine. But we still need to have a.
Okay then, Zoe, off you go. Present agenda item 10, F/YR 250810. Again, Fenland District Council application. So off you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. So item agenda 10 is for 15 angling platforms on the south bank of River Nene and West End Park in March. So the difference with this one to the last application is that this is set west of the central pedestrian bridge leading to West End. It's located north of the skate park, West End Park. So again, 15 platforms are showing on the screen, both small squares retrieved from the red line. So here's a typical side elevation and site plan shown on screen. So we've got the 4 photos. So photo 1 of the riverbank, the pedestrian path adjacent to the site. And then we've got the photo 2 of the pedestrian bridge showing the width of the river. And then 3 and 4 are examples of the location of the platforms. So in summary, the proposal seeks full planning permission for the installation of 15 angling platforms. The site is located on the south bank of River Nene. It's set west of the central pedestrian bridge. The riverbank includes considerable heading and trees. As confirmed by the agent, it is not proposed to carry out works to any trees as existing fishing positions are already established. It's considered there will be benefits from the development in relation to health and well-being for local communities and visiting people. The enhancement has the potential to create growth and tourism for the town, which has subsequent further economic benefits. The proposed development will not adversely impact the character of the conservation area, nor will it impact upon the neighbouring properties due to sufficient separation distances, and there will be no unacceptable impacts in relation to ecological and tree matters. As such, the application is recommended for approval subject to conditions.
Yeah, thank you, Zoe. We have no speakers on this application now, like members, officer, have you got anything to say? No? Okay. So we better go. So do I have a proposal to go with officer recommendation to grant planning permission?
Can I just ask? Sorry, I fully support this application, not the other one. Yeah.
So anybody else want to enter into that debate? Anybody else going to, yeah, we're in debate, obviously. Councillor Mifferton?
Yeah, it's a similar application to the other one. The only difference is that we have an objector. So I will be supporting this one. We have, I understand the objector's point. We're going to, whatever we do, people are going to object anyway. This river has been fished already. We're here to support an application to make it safer. So I feel like we are wasting our time if we defer this one as well. So I'm going to support this one. I'm not going to comment on the previous one. So that's me done.
Coming from Councillor Marks.
I think the word consistency comes along straight away. I think we need to be consistent on this one as well. I mean, my concerns have not changed. Look at, I mean, to be fair, they are better, by the looks of it, better swims where better platforms can go. However, we've only got 4 slides there. We haven't got 15. So we can't see what the rest of the condition of the river or whatever in the river banks are. I just feel, just for consistency, we ought to just sit this one out, have middle level here. I'm not saying I'm against it by any means. We still haven't got also, as we've spoken about previously, we still haven't gone clear on what FDC is with the lease to the fishermen. And I feel, and I'm not being rude, ladies and gents, your portfolio holders at the end of the day, but we could be putting Fenland in a bit of a hot water here if we're not careful, if we haven't got it clear as to what should be there and what is in the lease. I'm talking probably a couple of months. Yes, it's probably into the fishing season or whatever, but I'd prefer to be on the right side of stuff than the wrong side.
Yeah, so the fundamental reasons are still there, why I also support a deferral. Yeah. You know, and that's all I'm going to say. Councillor Gerster, still in debate.
Even if this was approved today, these platforms won't be put in this year. There's too many conditions at mid-level. I've told you 12 months it took to negotiate with a very good project manager in place. So they will not be put in place until next year.
Councillor Mifferton?
Yeah, can we, I mean, it says approve grants subject to conditions. So if it's granted today, the conditions are there to be met before it's actually delivered.
Still consistency comes to mind. Councillor French and Councillor Marks.
I totally agree with Councillor Marks. I mean, looking at this, I know this bit exceptionally well. Just further up from that, we have a new skate park, pump track, sorry. Unfortunately, County Council put it in the wrong way. So middle level in the process of enforcing County Council and FDC to remove the pump track unless they get somebody else sorted out. So there is a problem on the river. So I think if we allow this today, we're probably going to create more problems further down the line. plus the fact that the river was supposed to be drained a couple of years ago and it still hasn't been done.
Been put back. Councillor Marks, I'm going to let you have the last go, and then I'm going to close this.
Thank you. I don't mean to be a killjoy. Honestly, I can see, and to be fair, you know, if it was clear, then I would be supporting this. But it just seems to be. We were told in planning training the other day regarding we can't condition this and we can't do that and all the rest of it. So it worries me that we are exposing FDC to something that we don't know what that lease says, whether it says they can do this, whether they can't, and it just, we've got to, yes, it's not probably a material planning issue as such. However, we are opening ourselves up as councillors more than anything else. So I think just a deferral for a couple of months, to be clear, makes perfect sense.
Yes, and we didn't have the agent there or the applicant, and we haven't obviously got middle level there or any IDB or whatever you want to call them. And also it'd be handy to have somebody from estates there as well, so we can have we can clarify. That's where I think I'm coming from. So I'm going to close the debate now. I think we've had a good officer. Have you got anything to say? No. Okay. So do I have a proposal to go with officer recommendation to grant planning permission? Anybody wants to go with officer's recommendation to grant? No. I'm going to close that then. So obviously that's failed. Can I have another proposal, please? Councillor Marks.
Thank you, Chair. I would ask to defer this for further information, both from FDC, middle level, and probably the Angling Club as well.
Yeah. Second that. You're second it, Councillor French. So we've got a proposal to defer this application. Councillor Marks proposed it. Councillor French has seconded it. Can I have a show of hands on that?
It's unanimous decision.
So the application's also been deferred. Thank you. So that concludes today's meeting at 15:48. Thank you. It's been a good meeting. Thank you for everybody to put up with this heat. Thank